It's the final hour, the post trip on Nemo Nation. Let's see what we can see with Madison with a T.
Hey, Madison with a T, what's happening over there, sister? Hope you're doing well. I hope the world is treating you in a good shape. Madison with a T is making it happen over there. We're making it happen over here at the Ernest and Moriel Convention Center. My good friend Phone Master Dre is here. You enjoying yourself so far?
Oh, God, I'm enjoying it. I'm hanging out and getting to meet handsome people like this, man. Oh, and I get to sit next to this guy, Dave Nemo. I'm loving it. And the coffee's good.
Handsome dude sitting across from you, huh?
That's what I'm saying. I'm a little nervous.
I don't mean me. I know, dude. Every place we go, it's like I'm the handsomest dude here. Not no more.
Man, this is a killer collaboration of people. I'm ready for this interview.
I am ready too. Dave Nemo, of course, who sits at the center of Nemo Nation. We're here at the Trimble Conference. Insight happening all over the place. Dave, would you care to do the honors of introducing our next guestamundo?
Shane Hagen is with us. He is the Senior Solutions Architect at Cleo. And that's all I know about you. So we're going to find out more about you while you're sitting here. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
We got a chance, Dave, to talk as you guys were doing that great interview just in the last half hour.
Dave Elniski.
Good job, by the way. Those
are
some good people up there doing their thing as well, too. We got a lot of good friends up in the northern part of North America. Best neighbor anybody could ask for. Let's talk about you, though, for a second. You were telling me before the break that you spend a lot of time talking to IT people.
Yes.
That's what you do. It does not mean that those IT conversations don't directly affect the American trucker on the road. Can you kind of explain what your connective tissue is to them by way of explaining your connective tissue to those IT folks?
Connective tissue is a great way to put it. So we effectively connect businesses together. So carriers to your customers, to your warehouses, to wherever you're delivering the loads to, we're connecting those businesses together. And how does that connect to the drivers? It's we are directly pulling information that the truckers are creating when they're moving loads across the country. So whether it's where you're at or if you've arrived at the destination, we're making sure that information is getting to where it needs to go to your customers, making sure that they're in the know and up to date with where you're at.
And I asked this question of him as well, Dave, over the break. I said, and I know what he does and I understand its value, but the inherent question I ask you is somebody at that cocktail party says, what do you do? What do you do? Can you take me through what a day looks like for you on the job?
Yeah, so it's a lot of conversations, right? And I'm having a lot of conversations as a solution architect, right? What I do is talk to people about the problems that they're having and how our technology can solve issues that they're experiencing, make day-to-day life better for them, and really kind of drive more efficient processes across their business.
My final question, and I'm sure Dave will have some stuff for you too as well. So what are the challenges right now? I mean, we can talk about what's going to be discussed here on the floor, which will be part of that conversation. But connective tissue is important. Sometimes, as football players find out, you tear the connective tissue, and then you're in the rehab. Where are your worries? What are you concerned about with the onboarding of so much data? And then Dave has a really tough question for you about data. He's asked only one other person today.
Okay.
But what are your concerns? What are your big worries in regards to your area of the supply chain? What can go wrong, and what are you doing to make sure that it doesn't?
I think it mainly stems from expectations, right? Everybody's expecting more information and more information faster in a more rapid time frame. So just communicating quicker and more efficiently and more reliably is what we're hearing from carriers. Carriers have that requirement from their customers, and that goes upstream to the customer's customer, right? So it's all these connections. They have to be strong, they have to be quick, and you have to be confident that they're happening and information is getting shared across these businesses.
Ask him your question.
Okay, the question is, does data do or does data does? In other words, is data singular or plural? I always thought data did. Data tells me as singular, but now it's the data does.
Yeah, so I mean, I think technically
Data are.
Data is technically, it's like fish, right? Like fishes.
Yeah,
it's,
I know, right?
It's like a non-plural word, I guess.
But it is kind of cool, though. But you brought up the idea of fish, though. That
Yeah.
really visually, we were talking about the cloud earlier and how much I love the idea of the cloud, because as much as it looks like one compact thing, what it really is lots of little drops of water.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
kind of amassed. But the fish thing is even maybe a more interesting kind of way of thinking about it, because if you're thinking about a school of fish, they move together, they seem to be in unison, they seem to be of a hive mind, but they're not. Fish are not of a hive mind.
Right.
So that's, I guess, the kind of question is too, Dave. I mean, because the idea is we're always looking for outliers, we're always looking for, when we look at polling data and all that kind of stuff, there's
Right.
always the least possible scenario, the best case scenario, the worst case scenario. So is it both?
It might be. So I think
And
technically.
at one moment it do and the other moment it does?
It's not only both, it's everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's everything. I think it's both. Yeah. Technically, I have a degree in computer science. So
No,
there's-
I'm shocked.
Yeah, shocking. So technically, right? I think there's a datum, which is a singular point of data.
Oh,
I
Dave, by the
think-
way, my father-in-law,
Man,
he's
I'm
my
loving
father-in-law,
this.
by the way. His
Okay.
eyes got it was like two singular datums, like working together.
So that's to get real technical on you, but I think that's how it is defined. Data is kind of it's a plural. It is a plural, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is, too, is the fact that, he has a good friend who is a regular or recurring guest on the show named Rick Gobble, and Rick is a big man when it comes to rules and regulations and security measures, the FMCSA and all that kind of stuff. And I will do my worst impersonation of Rick Gobble. You ain't got to know the rule. You got to know where it is in the book. And so my question is for a truck driver, for somebody who, as we talked about before, smart people, but they're focused on staying between the white lines.
Sure.
You're staying between the numbers. How much literacy in regards to data do you feel like your customers who aren't analyzing that data need to have? And do you feel like that there are ways of getting them there in regards to, like I said, Dave asking the question, of course, data, datum, doesn't, all that kind of stuff. But in regards to when you're talking to clients, if you were talking to a truck driver, what would you give them advice on in regards to how much do they know about the data that they're looking at? I mean, they should know what they're looking at, but how deep do they have to go?
So I think if you're using whether it's a software or your ELD that's in your truck, you don't need to understand every little thing that's happening under the hood. If it's a good software, if it's a good interface that you're working with.
By the way, he means under the hood of your software.
Yeah.
You guys need to know what's under the hood of your truck, by the way. That's why we have that segment.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what you're getting at, right?
The metaphorical hood, yes.
Right.
So I think it's, as long as you're working with a solid solution there, it should be presenting data in a way that's relevant to you, and you don't need to understand everything that's happening underneath that.
I have my last nerdy question, Dave, because I'm a big baseball fan.
Okay.
And by the way, I was in heaven for 7 games, just just rooting for both teams to play wonderful. The idea that when you talk about the idea of Moneyball, and that's been the kind of great, I think, to some degree, both for training, for safety, for the whole thing, that the idea that a truck driver, he or she can look at their individual data and then compare it against other data and begin to make choices of how to improve their game.
Sure.
Do you feel like we're there already? That the driver, that he or she can look at the numbers that you guys are looking at and go, okay, if I get a better deal on gas and I sleep at a different time, it looks like that I can use this data to maximize my profits. Not today or tomorrow, but over the course of the year. Am I making sense, Dave?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if I'm following. Maybe Dave heard that.
Well, no, but the idea that it's like, do you feel like that the data that you work, and we're going to get to exactly what you do, because what you do, you're being very gracious here in talking to truck drivers, but you don't deal with truck drivers.
No.
But do you feel like that we have data now that allows the driver to look at a spreadsheet and begin to make decisions about how he or she can drive based on the data they'll get, in the same way that a baseball player can improve their swing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the data is there, whether it's being presented to you or shared with you and not being gate kept.
Right.
I think is the key. So the data is there, whether or not
you choose to use it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so you've been very kind and generous in talking about that. So we got two other big questions. The first of which is tell everybody what you do, because you spend most of your time talking to most of your kind. Mm-hmm. You talk to IT guys. And then we want to talk about your company overall.
Sure.
And their position and all that stuff. So tell folks what you do now that you've come out of your cloud and come down to the road. Take us up to the cloud with you.
Sure. So, yeah, my day-to-day is having conversations with folks, figuring out what kind of issues they're experiencing at a technology level for the most part. And then I take them through our product. I show them how it works, what it does, and ultimately try to overlay that with their current process and how they do things, and make them understand, hey, this is how our technology can make your lives better, how you can be more efficient, serve your customers better, and have a better bottom line, make more money. So that's really what I try to show when I'm talking to folks.
Okay. Now, of course, the obvious question, Dave, is what's your product? Mm-hmm. Explain the product now, and that will explain the company.
Sure. So we are Cleo Integration Cloud, and effectively we're a solution that sits between the supply chain, right? So between every company in the supply chain, we could potentially be there. We are connecting information between carriers, retailers, warehouses, making sure that the information that they need to share is going back and forth. So what that boils down to is B2B integration. And usually or traditionally that's done with EDI. I know I'm getting a little
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
But that's typically how it's done, and we facilitate that back and forth, right? Make sure that everybody's communicating the information that they need to communicate with each other.
Yeah, I mean, so essentially you serve as a bridge.
Yes.
So you're working with, all right, so make sure I'm clear still, because like I said, I've read up on you guys, but the idea is, like I said, you work mostly with IT people, but your company makes sure that the people who are actually on the boots on the ground running the supply chain actually have a conduit bridge, a passage, a liminal cloud through which that their information can move through to the people who actually are moving the supply chain. The people who are, I guess what we call prompting the supply chain, are able to have a pathway to continue to prompt those who are moving it.
Exactly.
And I mean that literally. I mean, they all play an important part, but a prompt is not the same thing as the person who pushes you gets to stay where they are while the other person goes out and moves. That's kind of the core of what you guys
exactly.
do.
I mean, there's cycles all across the supply chain, right? If you're a carrier, your customers are constantly asking you for, move this load for me, right? So we can automate that request where the customer is saying, hey, take this load and move it from A to B. We take that request and push it to the carrier. We push it to that TMS system, and it shows up there. And then the response to that, the updates to that, the invoices on that load, we all will pull that information and send it to your customer so that, again, everybody's in the know, everybody's up to date on what's going on.
Are you worried? Do you have these days, and it's been on a lot of people's minds, it's a big thing for Dave, do you have cybersecurity worries? I'm telling you, he lives in fear of this. He lives in fear of the friends of Hugo Chavez and Putin's pushed, pulling in and pouring through stuff and pouring through data. I'd like to go your own crystal ball. I know it's not your métier or your area of expertise, but I'm sure you know a lot about it. Do you feel like that enough is being done in the sector? I know you guys feel like you are, but do you feel like enough is, because remember, one person gets breached, even if you have a firewall, it means they're 1 inch closer to you.
Yeah, I think there's standardization that we do that is making that happen, but we
go ahead.
We across the industry there's standards that we're trying to follow, but that folks fall through the cracks, right? There's laggards, if you will, and so those laggards, like you said, can
jeopardize everybody.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the thing.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know if you know Mark Graney, who wrote the Gray Man novels. He actually has a whole premise. And by the way, just like Tom Clancy, he does his research. World War III almost gets set off because one person opens up an email and clicks on the wrong thing. And we joke about it, but their ways of doing that if you get into the right system.
Right.
So how do you, and like I said, I've read up on you guys. I'm not asking you because you've had problems. I'm asking you because how do we as responsible actors in the space act as ambassadors for responsible acting?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's following the right procedures. I think it's training too. Especially nowadays, there's a lot of like social engineering that folks can do with AI, for example. Right?
Oh, it's crazy.
You can take a picture of me and have me do something crazy in a video, and that is all of a sudden some sort of proof for something that I've done. So folks could use that to social engineer some crazy scenarios and bait people into giving up proprietary information.
I'm going to give you one, and like I said, we just got in the weeds here, but I'm going to give you one. I don't care. I'm having a good time. We like our new friends. I got an email, so I'm talking to a friend of mine. He's a veteran. He's a well-placed veteran. He has set up an opportunity for us to have a relationship with a nonprofit. That nonprofit at a reduced number would be able to both advertise but also be featured on our show. He's been really behind the scenes trying to find an actual sponsor for them as opposed to making them come out of their marketing budget. Been waiting on that patiently. It's not a rush. It's a good thing. We're happy about it. I get an email from him where he is writing an attorney for another company. And in that hacked email, is escrow accounts of clicking. I am BCC'd on it, meaning that the intelligence of it is that it's attempting to replicate him like going, I've closed the deal for us, wanted you to see this, which means they got into his information. Think about what they've done.
Yeah.
Think about what they've done in regards to our communications, what they've hacked in between us, and all the hope in that. I'm the son of an attorney. Ain't nobody put nothing in no escrow account for a marketing campaign. But I thought about that, and I think about people's hopes and dreams, man, and that's the new game. That's the new fraud. It isn't just hacking into your system. It's using what is best about us.
Exactly.
To unravel us.
Exactly. And I've seen the same exact thing at my job. And it's a similar situation. They play on your emotions, right? They think,
it's no longer wait till you see this.
Yes.
It's like they have information that has passed between you and it's got your hopes up. Like, we got them right here.
Exactly. And so I've seen that, and I've called it out. It's happened to me. I've been copied on an email. I said, hey guys, this looks fake. This isn't for us. This is definitely an attempt to,
it's all my dreams coming true. Click.
Yeah. Oh, more money from one of our biggest customers. Yeah. Let's go get it.
And it's crazy. And like I said, the only thing that we can really do is kind of remind our partners. That's the biggest thing I think we can often do. Anytime we almost get hacked, or anytime we do get hacked, we can't live in shame. We got to go. Just want to let you know I was hacked. Here's why. Once again, same story. Within 5 minutes of getting that email, I was already like, no, I was getting ready to. I call him, and he goes, yeah, I got hacked. Nice. I was getting ready to call you. He said instantly he knew, but he had no shame about it.
That's exactly how you need to do it, because otherwise
that's
folks
how they
might
win.
keep falling for it.
That's how they win.
Yeah.
That's how they win. Dre, I feel I keep talking to him. I feel like I'm going into the weeds here. How am I doing on time? Am I good?
We're real good.
He's sticking around. There.
Yeah,
This guy's sticking around.
Absolutely.
What's your own origin story? We always, like I said, we make a new friend. We feel like we got a friend here today. So tell us about yourself.
So I live in Philadelphia at the moment. I've been there for about 5 years. I grew up in central Pennsylvania, so Harrisburg, Hershey, if anybody's familiar, I'm sure.
No, we know it.
Maybe we've passed through at some point. But so I grew up there, went to college at Penn State, and have been living in the...
I think y'all made a mistake. I think you made a mistake. Good luck.
It's a sore subject.
I don't know who exactly you're getting, but remember this. There's a lot of good coaches in the MAC. You don't have to. Don't go pilfer anybody else. There's a lot of people at Notre Dame who are cackling from on high about the events down in Baton Rouge. But yeah, it's just interesting, by the way. So Penn State is the place you went, a little whiteout, a little Happy Valley.
Yes, sir.
And then where'd you go from there?
So right after college, I got a job at a similar company to what I'm doing today. A little different focus, but they were based in Philly, so that's what brought me to Philly, and then stuck around. And Cleo, the company I'm at now, was gracious enough to let me work remotely. Cleo's based in Chicago, so
5th biggest city in America. You know that, Dave? Philadelphia. Yeah.
Chicago's number 2, right?
No, it's no. It's New York, then Los Angeles, then Chicago, and then you have and then Houston.
Houston, yep.
But it depends how much you're counting in Houston, because it goes out for a long time. And then you get to our friends in Philly. Here's the crazy thing. You know what number 7 is?
Is it Miami?
It's San Antonio.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody knows that. And then you find out how many Fortune 500 companies there. But back to Philadelphia, it's a crazy big city. I think people forget about the fact that its working class sort of values and its chip on its shoulder is that people forget that's a big place.
Philly gets a bad rap, man.
Well, no, because Pittsburgh is like, if there's a northern equivalent to New Orleans, it's Pittsburgh. In regards to population size, too. I mean, people have decided that Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are equivalencies. Philadelphia is a monster.
Yeah, they're
it's an international city.
It's like you're in a different state. They might as well be in different states.
What's the great joke? Somebody says that Philadelphia is an international city faking working class roots because it's big, dude. I mean, it's a big place. I mean, it is. Center of a lot of things as well, too. So you go to Philadelphia, and there you are. How long have you been doing this particular job?
I've been here for 2.5 years. But the job I had at the company I was at before
was it supply chain related, or was it connective related?
It was more connective, like internal connectivity rather than supply chain connectivity. So
what's the difference?
There's different technical reasons, different motions and patterns that you'll follow for internal connectivity rather than external. External, there's a lot of you want to rely on other people's technology, and you need to put a lot of monitoring around that, making sure their stuff is working rather than you're just worrying about your own things. So there's just some different patterns and different focus.
Let me ask you some other questions too, because one of the problems with technology in the trucking sphere is that there's a lot of self-certification that goes on. A lot of people, when it comes to ELDs and a whole bunch of other stuff, it's like, no, it's fine. We certified it. And then, of course, Dave and I actually talked about for a while having these ELDs are no longer certified segment on the show, and you could do one every week in that way. Do you find it a challenge to work in an industry where sometimes it's on the absolute cutting edge and sometimes it's in Tulsa of 1972? I mean, does that play any part in where you stand in this bridge?
100%. The entire basis of what supply chain communication comes from is from technology that's from the 80s. Walmart started the standard back in the 80s, and we've followed that as a supply chain standard since then. So were there no tweaks during COVID? Because Dave and I talked about that. Were there no tweaks during COVID? It definitely evolves, and
but it's evolving. There's been no great disruption. What the pattern that was established by Walmart in the 80s and the other people.
Exactly. And, it's just so ingrained now that it's impossible to replace.
Yeah, don't take left turns.
Yes.
You know that, right, Dave? No left turns. You know that, by the way, that they literally plan so many of their trips not to take left turns. And it's just like, you think, it's ridiculous. And then you go, oh, my God, that's kind of brilliant. And but yeah, that pattern is there. Because I know there were some changes during COVID, if I remember correctly, where some of our friends actually realized if you have inner-city buildings where nobody's in them, rather than let them become rat-infested hellholes, turn them into immediate warehouses where you can resupply quicker so you don't run out of toilet paper, was part of the game.
Sure.
What are you most excited about being here for? Which got you excited?
So I'm doing stuff like this. They have me doing another interview, I guess, on another podcast.
Whose? Maybe we know him.
The Logistics of Logistics with
Joe
Lynch.
Joe Lynch, terrific.
I just saw Joe about an hour ago walk past.
He's a terrific guy, and he actually knows his business, and he actually knows how to talk to people too. So you have a really great time with him.
He comes on with us. So
okay, awesome.
Yeah.
This show is kind of an aggregate. We just drop everybody in, and everybody kind of comes by and says what's going on. We just got you for a bit of a longer form because we're covering the Trimble Conference over here, Insight at the Anderson Memorial Convention Center on Nemo Nation. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, no worries. So I'm talking to him. We're doing an on-stage. They have a demo showdown where technology companies get to come and show their product for 5 minutes. You get a 5-minute timer. So we're getting up on stage and showing our product up there. And then we have a booth and, just having conversations with folks. So it's all good stuff. It's all, just learning about problems that folks are having and seeing if we can solve them.
You and I should talk later on about maybe dropping in from time to time on Nemo Nation and keeping us up with what you're doing. I've been dying to say this for the entire interview. It's a joke you've heard a million times. Come back, Shane. You promise us that you'll do that?
That's crazy. I was given a VHS of that movie.
I tell you this, brother.
Sat in my bedroom for years.
Once you see it, though, once you see it, once you see what a badass Alan Ladd is as Shane, you're like, that's a pretty good name to have, man, because he kills those guys. I mean, he kills some bad dudes, man. It's great stuff. There's a big debate, by the way. Is Shane dead at the end of the movie, Dave? Yes or no?
I don't want to say.
All right.
Well, I can tell you one thing, though. Shane had to stand on a box to kiss a girl.
Oh, yeah?
Not this Shane, though.
No, not
man,
this
tall dude. Shane Hagen has joined us this morning. Tell them one more time where they can go to find out more about your company.
So you can find us at Cleo.com.
And you're on all the socials?
Yeah, all the socials.
If you go to the website, they'll have all the links where you can go, right?
Yeah, we can put some links in there. I don't have all of it off the top of my head, but we're on LinkedIn. We're on
YouTube.
You
got all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's all LinkedIn.
Everywhere.
Shane's a good dude. He's a cool dude.
Buckle up, because we're merging back into traffic on Radio Nemo's Nemo Nation.
Nemo Nation, king of the wild frontier.
Welcome to Nemo Nation. We're
what
back
are you talking about, man? I told you to do. I set Dre up. I told him to do that.
Okay.
He didn't just make that up as he went along. Dave makes it up as it goes along. How you doing, brother?
I'm just trying to get over that. I hope you don't get sued now.
We won't get sued.
Copyright.
You
Yeah,
can
live
do that.
performance. We're good.
Satire.
Yeah.
Live performance.
Just
satire.
don't sing Happy Birthday and you'll be okay.
Sing the Stevie Wonder version.
It's really fun here, by the way. We're at the Trimble Conference. Insight is happening all over the place here at the Dutchland. Sorry, it's actually the Ernest N. Morial Convention Center. Dutch Morial's stomping grounds. Actually, they built it here, too, because of where the World's Fair was in 1986.
Yeah.
And Dutch was the one who got it across the finish line as well. We are thrilled to be here. We're thrilled to be guests of Trimble. Dave, would you care to do the introduction?
Yes, indeed. Ryan Johnson.
king of the wild frontier.
He's the director of cybersecurity at Trimble. Ryan.
And now you know why I asked that question before we left. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning and welcome. I've been biting my tongue all morning because I've been chomping at the bits to talk about cybersecurity because it hasn't been mentioned very much, and it seems to be the overriding umbrella cloud, but dark cloud that hangs over all of us now, cybersecurity, and it ain't just cyber people that aren't secure. It's all of us, and wow, they are the criminals.
He's deeply worried.
I'm
deeply worried.
Quite concerned.
Gotta stay vigilant. You know?
Quite concerned. And your background, I got to tell you. Can I read this?
Please.
By all means, we both share a law enforcement background, Dave.
From chasing drug smugglers in the Caribbean as a U.S. Coast Guard officer to thwarting threat actors from stealing intellectual property, Ryan Johnson has had an adventurous career in security, starting his cybersecurity work as a senior consultant supporting numerous U.S. federal government CIOs, then venturing to the private sector directly supporting financial, healthcare, and technology industries. He is the director of cybersecurity for multiple lines of business at Trimble. How do you have time to sit down here and talk to us, man?
We have a wonderful team.
Wow.
Entirely highly intelligent security analysts at our in-house 24/7 security operations center. So.
I can begin, by the way, you open the door on that. How do you put together a team like that? How do you put together a team like that? How do you determine the people that you need, and what are you looking for when you put that together?
Yeah, when you look at the cybersecurity industry, there's not enough jobs to fill the growing need. You could, as a cybersecurity engineer, you can pick up a litter of where you want to work. Everyone is trying to hire a cybersecurity architect to best safeguard and implement technical and administrative controls as part of their defense and depth methodology. So, yeah, to answer your question, you have to dig deep. You have to do strong interviews, and to be able to retain that kind of talent is really the biggest challenge from a employment perspective. So,
yeah, because people, we talk about Penn State coaching search in the last in the last segment, and a lot of people don't seem to want to be able to develop their talent from within. They want to. I'm being a jerk here, but there's a certain security problem here too. People want to poach talent. They want to find people who have been developed and grab them along. And by the way, that's fine. But the other question is that how do we develop that talent in-house? Because the thing is, you want to bring in, like any good sports team, you want to have a lot of homegrown folks, but you want to bring in the occasional free agent in putting together your team. Is that part of your strategy, or because there are other ways to do it. You can do the Magnificent Seven, or you can grow them all off the farm, or you can do some kind of combination. What do you try to look for?
Yeah, I think with all recruitment and talent management, it's both a blend of external and internal development. There's certification trainings that either AWS and Azure, Microsoft use, but we do grow security analysts, and as part of their own career progression, they do develop into roles that have increased responsibilities. So, but cybersecurity is an enabling function. So we are here to enable the business, but also provide guardrails. So that's everything from policy development to also implementing the right technical controls that best safeguard our customers' information. So it's a hybrid of internal development as well as getting the best of the best to come and really you got to sell yourself. You have to sell the company that this is going to be the best opportunity for themselves. Because as I mentioned beforehand, they can go anywhere they want. So,
in my observation, Ryan, is that trucking has been slow to move into the.
For those of you who cannot see, because you're listening, Ryan, that is landing on Ryan like a ton of bricks. He agrees with it intensely.
Okay, so that being said, with the cyber theft that's going on in trucking right now, I feel as if the industry at large got caught with its pants down. Just wasn't ready for it. They weren't into it themselves to the degree that they knew that criminal elements were equal or above their level. Okay, so now we know, hardly. The other problem is proprietary considerations in terms of, well, I don't want to let you know that my load of toilet paper got stolen, because then the guy with the paper towels is not going to
shame.
And it's still a thing. I thought that was kind of over with now. But I was talking to some guy, Ben Wilkins at NMFTA, will tell you, no, it's pretty low. People still don't want to say they got ripped off, which really helps the criminals immensely. Every time you don't say something,
that's why Guy Fieri died for all of our sins.
Yeah,
I'm not being. I'm being. That's part of that motivation was him getting out there and saying, "We got to talk about this. Or it's going to keep happening." Right?
Yeah.
Exactly such. Let's touch on the transportation logistics relatively lack of a security posture. It's everything from culture. It's not unlike the DoD or financial industries that have spent the last several decades training, investing in technologies.
Yeah.
Dealing
with the friends of Hugo Chavez. I mean, there's no other way to kind of put
exactly. So transportation and logistics, our customers in general, this is relatively new and they're adaptive, or they're like, oh yeah, we're doing security because we have a system admin guy who's basically updating the servers and doing patches. Cybersecurity is so much more than that. And, I think as a result of these type of security incidents happening more frequently and so forth, it's forcing board of directors to have to pay more attention to it and not wait until you get a breach until investing in security.
Well, there are more and more doors, right, Brian? Right. I mean, right. It's like not just the ELD, it's not just the GPS, it's not just your back-end systems, it's everything. There are so many points of entry. And even if you guys do your diligence, somebody else could leave the door open.
That's correct.
In the chain. And then the whole thing begins to cascade at that point, right?
Exactly. I mean, number leading cause of cybersecurity incidents is because of human error, Oh, hey, I sent this file to the wrong customer. And I want to touch back onto what Dave was talking about with respect to disclosure of a security data breach. Mm-hmm. So one of the great things about cybersecurity, the industry has become more around sharing and learning from our mistakes, saying, hey, this threat vector we got to attack through this threat vector for this reason based upon this malicious attack, and saying, hey, look, this happened to us, bad on us, but hey, we want to help. We're all in it together, kind of thing. So if you had the same vulnerability here, make sure you patch it. So.
Yeah, it's just, and I'm not kidding, he lives in terror of all this stuff. And I just told a story, too, because the one thing that happened to us recently was a friend of mine. The human factor has become even more important now, because before it was about people not understanding computers and just making those kind of mistakes. These guys know that people are aware of those kind of things coming now. We've now got to the point where they actually can get enough of a read on our data to get somebody else's data, hack them, and then create a human environment by which a person can be suckered through sympathy into pushing the wrong button. It didn't happen to me. I saw it happen to a friend of mine. We both caught it at that point. But it knew information that was going on between us and a personal, very, very decent sort of attempt to help a nonprofit. It knew all of that, and it BCC'd me as if to say, I'm giving you a little secret information here. It was brilliant in its construction. And I was scared because I said, I recognize this. At some point, we get there. At some point, they figure out by using AI how to flip it. They figure it out.
Exactly such. I mean, we've all come a long way from the Nigerian prince, scheme, which I did see,
Still
just
works.
not even too many years ago. They still pulled in $700,000 as a result of that. So they're using spear phishing, which is basically collecting information, making these highly personalized and believable messages. Also, just spoofing, even pictures via WhatsApp of someone that is credible, a company's CEO. So obviously, trying to stay on top of that and providing that awareness and training, which I emphasize to anyone, at least annually go through that training and provide some sort of awareness that the malicious actors are getting smarter, they're more efficient, and they're just spreading this out more easily as a result of the use of AI. So.
But we are going to beat them. In other words, they have the upper hand at the moment. But I believe that the good people.
Not in terms of Trimble, in terms of.
Yeah. No. I'm talking about overall, worldwide. I'm talking about
Sure.
cyber criminals. They have the upper hand at the moment. And I mean, because
it's a numbers game for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. But what I'm getting at is that the numbers are going to flip. We're going to get ahead of them. We're smarter. We're more organized. Well, maybe not more organized, but we're smarter. And we have much more. We must have much more at stake. They have only to gain. We have to lose. And when you have something to lose, that's when you really.
Only takes one, as you
fight.
like to say.
Yeah.
They succeed if they get one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're going to be looking at the lowest hanging fruit.
Exactly.
They're not going to spend a bunch of time trying to get into, like I said, the DoD financial industries. It's the construction, it's the transportation logistics sector that is easy prey. So.
How did you get into all of this stuff?
After serving active duty in the U.S. Coast Guard, I was a project manager supporting the Department of Navy CIO, Chief Information Officer. So I got into information assurance and sounded really interesting, and that was back in 2005. So,
well, thanks for your service, first of all.
Yeah,
and
most welcome.
What was the Coast Guard like for you?
Coast Guard, I met the best people in my life.
I have a deep, as Dave can tell you, I have a deep affection for the Coast Guard because our wedding planner, she was a Coast Guard.
Oh, no kidding.
And she actually was, she had done her stint, but she was actually still in the reserve. So she actually had to leave one of our wedding planning ceremonies. Like, I got to go now. I got to go do this thing. So, all right. So you got into this. What is your biggest fear? And I only got about a minute left here. What is your biggest fear in regards to what people aren't doing that is going to expose us all?
The oversharing of information. People putting on public networks. People blindly assigning, acceptable use policies. I mean, anything that's free, we're just literally making it so much easier for people.
In other words, people being human.
Exactly.
When you think about
it.
You want to share information. You want to show stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, I'm a new accounts payable person working at ABC company. Well, guess what? That malicious actor is going to see that you're brand new to a company. You can also issue out invoices and pay them. Hey, I'm going to contact you and reference a previous boss who you know and have basically a fake LinkedIn profile. And the person's like, oh, and you contact them saying, hey, our checking account has changed. It's now this. And the accounts payable person says, all right, here's your $10,000, and you never see that again. So
I'm looking at Dave. He's like, yeah, they're out to get us all.
Yeah.
but I am optimistic.
Our own company came very close to that, though.
Yeah.
We had a major account, and we switched banks, and it took 6 months for them to believe us.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, but good on them, of course.
Exactly.
But, so all of that.
You have to do the due diligence. You have to use independent third-party auditors doing penetration tests. There's a whole slew of frameworks to follow. It's time and money.
Yeah, I think one of the
worth
other
it.
big problems too is literally self-certification. I think those third-party tests are so important. The idea of bringing in outside people in to test your own system is so important, because the ELD, what's happening with electronic login devices in the trucking sphere is ridiculous. They can certify themselves.
Right.
And then only later on do we find out it was absolute garbage, and that they figured out there were ways that people could get in the ELDs and literally wreck an entire supply chain. Just crazy. Dude, you should come back. You should come back.
I'd love to.
Yeah. Okay, you're on.
You should do that thing. And by the way, since Claire is listening and since Tara is listening, mark it down. Ryan Johnson, who's also the name of the director of the Last Jedi, has joined us this morning.
It's a good name.
Good to have you. Good. And my brother's first name is Ryan too. That's a really kind of cool thing. We will take a deep breath here. A little bit of a break. We will come back on the other end for the final 15 minutes of Nemo Nation. That means Jimmy Mack, Andre Thibodeau, Dave Nemo, Ryan Johnson. Tell them where they can go to find out more about your company.
Yeah, sure. Trimble.com. You can, we offer a whole slew of solutions across transportation logistics segment and construction, as well as field systems.
All righty, my friend. It's good to meet you. Have the best of. What are you looking for? You going out to eat any place?
I was here in 2013. The Coast Guard leases a float. And I was handing out beads there with myself from February 2013.
Fantastic.
So there's a restaurant nearby that I'm looking to check out. But
Fantastic.
Excited to be back.
There's a whole bunch of great places by the old Naval Station, too. With Dave and I have taken people to Jack Dempsey's, great barbecue place called The Joint. Elizabeth's over there as well. All that really close to the water. Thank you, sir. It's nice to meet you. We're going to take a quick break here. Be back. Madison, break us away. Hey guys, just want to let everybody know. Oh, the state, by the way, Ryan asked before he took off. He wanted to know the state that I haven't been to is Rhode Island, and I've actually taken that off the list now. It is now done. Come on over, my friend. Come on over. How are you, sir? We're going to actually welcome the last guest here, Dave Nemo, Jimmy Mack, Andre Thibodeau. The whole gang is here. Dave, would you care to do the honors and introduce our next guest as you just flip? We're not on that kind of break, dude. You've got to check your clock. Check your clock. Arn, how are you, sir?
I'm very well. How are you?
Arn Hayden is joining us this morning. Dave, do the official introduction.
Arn Hayden is the Business Development Manager. We call him the BDM, of course, of automotive and the Internet of Things, ADAS, of course, Advanced Driver Assist Systems, and C to V to 2 to X to everything, and the infotainment and Trimble Positioning Services, which we haven't really talked about.
No, you have not. And I appreciate your boiling that down to a 3-letter acronym for my title.
Oh, yeah, man.
Everything's got to be a 3-letter acronym.
We live in the alphabet soup anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
But yeah, so let's kind of get right to the heart of the matter. I've been asking this question all morning long. We talk to over-the-road truck drivers. We talk to men and women who are independent operators, work for very respectable carriers, many of them thinking about forming their own small business. If I were to ask you point blank at a party, and I'm a guy that delivers cotton candy to the moon, I have a really cool job, and tell me, what do you do? I mean, and kind of sum that up. We know what you do, but let our listeners know.
Yeah. And I'm probably a little bit of an oddball here for this trucking industry. So I come from the automotive and IoT group, and what we do is we provide precise positioning technologies for autonomous trucking, but also for driver handheld devices and tablets to make their workflows more efficient. So it provides a much more accurate location for proof of delivery and lane level navigation, that type of thing.
This goes both ways. The idea of the tablets, that everybody's kind of got one and they're using that as a kind of communication kind of platform to kind of talk with one another. I don't mean talk with one another like on the phone, but I mean to communicate what's going on between the logistics of all of it.
Right, and it's probably more for, say, proof of delivery. So if you're dropping off a parcel or a package or an asset, it's obviously super important to know exactly where that parcel is. So this provides a much more accurate location down to less than a meter of accuracy. It's obviously, not for large mass haulings or a tractor trailer a trailer load, but more for the dropping off of a smaller parcel. But also, it provides technology. So if you're driving and you have lane level navigation, you make sure you're in the right lane at the right time, and then you're catching the exit with plenty of time.
Talk to me a little bit about why it's so important to be here, given what you do, why your presence here is so important.
Yeah, I think the one thing here is, and part of this is a learning experience for me too, so I think it's talking to the customers, it's talking to even people within Trimble and partners of understanding what's exactly needed in this space. So when we talk about AI, that's driven by accurate information, not just any information. So location is a key part of that. And how can that data flow through these workflows and make things more efficient?
And that opens up the door for the AI conversation as well, because and I'm going to use a really, really strange analogy here in regards to AI. If, in fact, you get one of those artistic pictures, when people often give things a prompt and you'll get a picture, the more literate, the more comprehensively understanding of what the person wants they write in there, the better and better the picture gets. The more complex, and sometimes the prompt is so beautiful and complex, the AI isn't ready for it at that point. But so much of what we're talking about here is not like AI is not just removing the human factor, it's actually accelerating the human factor, allowing them that if they have command of the language and the shorthand, they can then enter in what needs to happen, and then it can do it. How am I doing?
Yeah, good. I think that's a great example for what we see with more of these earlier type adoptions of AI. I think having, when you're talking about instead of photographs and videos, which are fun to make. I've made plenty of them myself.
Crazy,
it's pretty funny. But I think when you're talking about route optimization and liability of understanding where your packages are at any one time, it's super important. So that data gets fed up into models in ways we can't even comprehend at this point in time. So having that accurate representation of the location is just a bit of that, just the first part of that bit of information that gets fed into those models.
What's next? Where do we go?
I think it's all going to come down to is what makes things more and more efficient. And as we start to deploy these technologies, there's going to be things that we continue to learn and figure out, and how we can use this data and doing what. It's hard to even determine, because we're right at this baby hasn't even figured out how to walk yet.
Well, and we were. This was what's interesting, but it's standing up and showing immense abilities to walk, and then falling back on its ass, and then doing it. I mean, it really. But the baby analogy is pretty terrific, because a baby, if you're not watching, you go, oh no, there's no way it can get out. It's out the door. It's in the street.
Right.
And so the question becomes that we are now moving so fast that usually when we have a new technology, it takes so long to kind of figure it out that we kind of know what jobs it's going to create. Part of the panic around what is happening now, which I don't agree with, the panic is that we are afraid it's going to eliminate jobs, not realizing that it hasn't even begun to open up what's next.
Right.
We're almost, it's like technology we're flying blind with. Is that fair? Do you feel like we have any sense of where this is taking us, that we can start planning for what's next?
I think the biggest advantages of AI are reducing safety issues, reducing errors. So in many of those cases, that's not replacing someone. That's around how do we make this, the people on the road safer? How do we make the drivers safer? How do we make sure that there's less liability when you're dropping off packages and that type of thing? So for me, it's how does that driver not miss the exit? These are all the things that I think are driving this. Is really how do we take, for example, in construction, people working at heights is a huge problem. So, forklifts are another area that can be greatly improved by AI. It could be route optimization. It could be how do you get those forklifts to a better location quicker. So I think there's just a lot of information around here that's not replacing people, but just making safer,
freeing them up to be. Well, it's the Keynesian dilemma. Yeah. Are we freeing them up to do more work? Or are we freeing them up to give them more time to enjoy their lives? That's up to the human beings as well.
Yeah.
But that's the big question. It's not so much a matter of eliminating their jobs, but accelerating the pace at which they happen. And at the same time, making them safer, because if you accelerate the pace at which they happen, you can slow it down and still not waste time.
Right. And I think with any new technology, you're going to see there's going to be bumps in the road for sure, right? I mean, that's to be expected, and we have to be patient with that. In some cases, we don't take in consideration the errors that occur with humans as well. And when we see one error that happens with AI or with autonomy, then it becomes a boiling point right away. So, but I think there will be
because I think there's the illusion there's nobody to blame, which of course is terrifying.
Yeah, right.
The idea that with human error we can always figure out what was Bob's fault. It was Franklin's fault. What is Franklin thinking? But when it's like Hal's fault, HAL, people are like, what are we supposed to do? Because Hal is now everywhere. What do we do about that?
I bought a 2024 car. I have the same make and model 2011.
Yeah.
So when I got it, I started talking about the differences, all of the ADAS stuff and everything.
Right.
It has cameras, so it can keep you in your lane. It sees the lines. It tells the car to turn a little bit, so it does drive itself, essentially.
Yeah.
Is that artificial intelligence? Or will artificial intelligence be added to that technology to make it even more better?
Yeah, and I think you're talking about, when we talk about autonomy in automobiles, there's different levels. There's L1 through L5.
Right.
And so you're probably operating on an L2 plus, right? And I think there's a lot of efforts happening in that L2 plus area, because you're not taking the driver's responsibility out of the equation, right? So you're still responsible for that car. And the same thing, but once you start getting into like level 4 and level 5, where the drivers in some cases might not be a driver. Well,
do you remember that book, Robot Take the Wheel? Mm-hmm. That's what L4, L5 is, where it's like, I'm done here. Just give me. But you basically turn to the car and you say, I don't know the best route there. I don't know what the extent in traffic is down the road. You figure it out. Get me there. Goodbye.
You
sit back and then it just takes off. That's L4, L5, right?
Correct. Yeah. And L5 is when there's no driver in the vehicle. Right. So, but yeah, you're going to see. The one thing about it is when you look at these systems, there's so many cameras and lidars and sensors and all these different types of ways to determine anything that might be a danger or any issues. Then it just has a lot of safety features built into it. Like, you can't, as a driver, you can't have your eyes on everything, right? So this has cameras around that are operating with it is AI, by the way, we're talking about.
Yeah.
So artificial intelligence is what drives an autonomy stack.
And so there are levels of AI.
Yeah. Well, yeah, levels of the level 2 through 5 is not necessarily a level of autonomy, a level of AI. It's more of just how much of it's autonomous.
Yeah.
So, but
I heard the most cool thing one time. One guy told me, he said, "You want to see a really joyful use of what level 5 could be?" I said, "What?" He goes, "You walk out to your L5 truck, you put your entire presentation, the big giant thing you have to set up over at the convention center." You send the truck on its merry way, and you get on your bike and you ride there to get your exercise in. It arrives so that you get there, park your bike, then take all the stuff out and bring it in.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of thought being put into safety around these features, and it's impressive to see. They're on the road today, so they're driving today from, mostly in the southerly routes from
Texas,
around Texas areas, and
Phoenix to
Yeah, and they've been driving for years now. So, but now they're on the roads, and they're
starting to make their way across colder climates and steeper climates too. They're not just on that flat Earth run from Arizona into Texas and beyond.
Yeah, that'll be a while out, I think.
Yeah,
but
they're starting to show up there, but they're not staking a claim to those territories quite.
Right.
Just
I mean,
yet.
you want to limit. You understand your limitations. You want to make sure you have safety in all the ways.
Are you finding that too? I find that there's a lot of people out there who are kind of pushing the envelope, but it seems that on the flip side of that, there's a lot of people who are actually working in the field who are playing by the rules and understand the limitations of it. We're out of time.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to promise us you'll come back at some point so we can have a more in-depth conversation.
Absolutely. It was certainly fun.
Yeah, really love talking to you.
Thank you, sir.